Kiruna, Sweden is home to the world's largest underground iron ore mine. However, when the town collapses in on itself, all hell breaks loose. Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is an action thriller from 2023 titled The Abyss. The movie begins in 1961, when Sweden experienced its worst mining accident. During a powerful earthquake, a massive crater formed in one of the cities. Fast forward to 2020, another earthquake strikes the mining areas in Kiruna. A group of friends gathers for drinks in the same location. Despite his friends' warnings, one of them, who is drunk, goes outside the fence to relieve himself. To his shock, he notices a fault line in front of him while urinating. His fear intensifies as the ground started shaking. A few hours later, Frigga, the head of safety for the mining operation, arrives at the site of the morning earthquake. She receives a call from one of her colleagues, who informs her about the morning incident. Meanwhile, at the mining site, a couple follows their friend to find him. They locate him, but unfortunately, they slip and fall into the fault line while their friend has his back turned. In New Kiruna, Tag, Frigga's ex-husband, celebrates his birthday alone. Meanwhile, he attempts to locate his friends, who went missing after a morning accident. Suddenly, the ground collapses beneath him, and he falls. As Frigga reminisces about her memories with her ex-husband and their son, Simon, she receives an unexpected call from her current boyfriend, Dabir. She rushes to the train station to pick him up, surprised to find him arriving earlier than expected. Dabir explains he wanted to surprise her, which brings a smile to Frigga's face, and the two drive away together. While on the way, Dabir mentions that he will stay longer in their city due to assigned work. Frigga informs him about the challenging winter months with extended darkness. As they talk, a group of protesters block their path, holding signs urging them to save Kiruna by stopping mining. Frigga warns them and threatens to call the police if they don't clear the way. The protesters persist, prompting Frigga to slowly drive through until some of them move aside. One protester turns out to be her daughter, Mika, who refuses to leave with half her body under the car. Frigga steps out to confront her daughter. While arguing, Mika's grandmother arrives to intervene and reconcile them. Later, they head to Frigga's house for some romance. While they're kissing, Tage rings the doorbell, concerned about Simon not answering his calls. He walks in to check if Simon's home, finding Dabir only in underwear. Dabir decides to wait outside, introducing himself to Tage reluctantly. Mika and Ayla arrive, catching Dabir still in his underwear at the table. Tage tries to confront Frigga about the beer, but she asserts their divorce, shutting him down. They light the candles on Simon's cake, assuming he's in the other room, but he's not there. Frigga receives a call from Gerta, Oliver's mom, asking about Simon. Gerta reveals Simon is with her son and requests Frigga to contact her once they see them. As Frigga blames Tage, a strong tremor interrupts them. Frigga receives a call from the mine, seeking assistance due to accidents. Outside, Tage intentionally damages his car so it won't start. Frigga suggests he ride with her, and Tage sits beside her in the front seat. While on the way, Frigga expresses surprise at Tage's car breaking down today. Tage ignores her, persistently making Dabir uncomfortable with questions. Dabir apologizes, understanding Tage's position. Frigga notices Tage becoming too much and puts a stop to her ex-husband's harassment. Back at the house, Ayla joins Mika, hinting at a romantic relationship between them. Ayla invites Mika to the couch for a game, but Mika says she needs to find Simon. At the Kiruna mine, Frederick informs them that 108 workers are trapped in the cave-in, along with 4 rescuers. On the monitor, one worker reports that the situation isn't that serious. However, Frigga senses a problem and decides to talk to him. Later, Frigga introduces Dabir to Frederick. Afterward, Dabir steps outside for some fresh air, followed by Tage, who continues to pressure him to leave. Tage persistently tries to corner Dabir in their conversation, but Dabir stands firm in his love for Frigga. Before leaving, Tage mentions that the divorce papers have been with Frigga for 6 months, yet she hasn't signed them. Unfazed, Dabir lets Tage leave on his own. Inside the car, Frigga's co-worker named Erica asks who Dabir is, so she tells her about him. The two discuss Frigga's relationship as they start driving to the location of the incident. Suddenly, Taj stops them and also joins in. When they reach 520 meters underground, Tage approaches Frigga and talks about Simon, trying to initiate a conversation with her. Frigga simply ignores him despite his efforts to get closer to her. Upon reaching the exact location, they meet with the team and pay their respects to the Lady, an urban legend said to guard the mountains before continuing the operation. They proceed to explore the area of the incident and investigate. While investigating, Frigga strikes a part of the cave side. She hits it several times. It breaks, creating a hole, but fortunately, no one is seriously hurt. Frigga only suffers a minor injury. Meanwhile, Mika continues to search for Simon. She tries asking someone who saw Simon, but the person mentions they only bought drinks and left afterward. In the cave, they use a drone to enter and assess the severity of the damage. They discover it's already severe, and it's the first time they've seen damage of this magnitude. Realizing this, Frigga immediately insists that they need to evacuate. In Ayla's backyard, while her brother plays, the ground suddenly sinks where they are playing. Ayla quickly grabs her brother, and her father tells her they'll put a fence around it. In the cave, Tage asks Frigga if it's really necessary to evacuate. Frigga mentions that it's the first time she's seen a cavity of that size. Tage is stunned when Frigga says that the whole city is about to collapse. As they ascend, they suddenly feel an impending tremor. They hurriedly run into the safety chamber for refuge. Meanwhile, Dabir arrives at the fire station where he's hired. While talking to one of the officers, a woman reports an incident at Ayla's house. After the woman leaves, the officer briefs Dabir about the various challenges they'll face as firefighters. Hearing this, Dabir becomes discouraged, and the officer adds to it by mentioning that he heard Dabir would become a chief in his previous job. Dabir starts showing signs of backing out, especially upon learning that Tage and Frigga's relationship is on and off. When the officer notices this, he tells Dabir to still give Kiruna and his relationship with Frigga a chance. Meanwhile, as Mika continues to search for Simon, she finds a drunk Oliver inside her car. Out of anger, she smashes the car's mirror using a rock. Ayla sees her and tries to intervene, leading to an argument that results in Mika breaking up with Ayla. As Oliver runs away, Dabir drives to the location and nearly collides with him. Seeing that Mika is chasing Oliver, he follows them. When Mika is about to punch Oliver, Dabir stops her. Mika confronts Oliver, expressing her desire to hurt him. Oliver explains that he got extremely drunk, and when he woke up, his friends were gone. He pleads with them not to tell his mother because she would panic. Before leaving, he shares the location where they hung out. Upon learning Simon's location, Mika quickly borrows the keys from Dabir. While retrieving the keys from his pocket, Dabir accidentally drops the box containing an engagement ring. Meanwhile, Frigga's group gets stuck inside the safety chamber. They discuss their options, and Patrick, one of their companions, starts to panic. Erica reassures him that everything will be fine. After a few moments, they decide to exit the safety chamber. Outside, they encounter a pile of rocks blocking their way to the exit, so they opt to find an alternative route. At the same time, Mika talks to Dabir about his relationship with her mom. During their conversation, Mika reveals that her mom hasn't signed the divorce papers because she knows it would devastate Tage. They also discuss Mika's relationship with Ayla. On the mountain, Frigga and the others discover that another exit is also blocked. Seeing a small opening among the rocks, Frigga crawls through to find another way. When it's Tage's turn, he attempts to crawl but panics. It becomes evident that he is claustrophobic, and even with Frigga calling from the other side, he can't proceed through the small opening. After lengthy persuasion and motivation, they convince Tage, with Frigga urging him to think about Simon. In the middle of the small opening, Tage starts to panic, especially when he gets stuck. Frigga tries to calm him down, but it proves ineffective. Frigga then takes a steel rod and crawls in. She instructs Tage to hold onto the rod so she can pull him through, but he continues to panic. Left with no other option, Frigga knocks Tage unconscious. Dabir and Mika arrive at the rift zone and hear a ringing phone. They quickly locate the phone's source and exit the fence, only to find that the sound is coming from the fall. As they look down, they realize the tragic fate of the people who were hanging out there. Mika tries to call Simon's phone, but she can't hear it ringing nearby. Meanwhile, on the mountain, Frigga successfully pulls Tage through a small opening, and he hugs her out of joy. However, she maintains boundaries between them. Patrick manages to crawl through the small opening as well. When it's Erica's turn, a rock falls on her foot while she is in the small opening. Frigga crawls inside again to help her, but unfortunately, a couple of rocks fall on Frigga's legs as well. Despite being hit by multiple rocks, Frigga doesn't give up on Erica. Seeing this, the two men pull Frigga out of the small opening. At the rift zone, the two continue to call for Simon, but there's no response. After an extensive search for a way out, they reach the exit of the mountain. Tage and Frigga start blaming themselves for what happened, so Patrick tries to lift their spirits. Outside, Frigga immediately calls Mika, who answers and says they are in the rift zone with De Beer. Mika explains that Simon might be there, and Frigga advises her to leave it to the police and not return to Kiruna. Instead, they should head to New Kiruna since the entire city is about to collapse. Upon hearing this, Mika remembers Ayla, so she quickly hangs up the phone to go to her. After the call, Frederick approaches Frigga to discuss what happened. Frigga quickly mentions that if there's another tremor, the entire city will collapse. Without wasting time, Frigga decides to go to Mika, knowing that she's heading to Ayla. They also inform Frederick about the situation by spreading the news and sounding the alarm. In the rift zone, De Beer asks what she and Frigga talked about, and Mika shares their conversation. Suddenly, a lamppost falls, barely missing them. Mika insists on seeing Ayla, and De Beer tries to stop her, considering it too dangerous. However, she persists and continues to leave. While on the way to meet Mika, Tage suggests that Simon might be at their house. He also mentions that after surviving this disaster, he will give De Beer a chance, and they'll move on. As they talk, they see a man whom they think is Simon, so they follow him. They lose sight of the man, so they get out of the car to warn the people to leave the city. Meanwhile, De Beer and Mika arrive at Ayla's house and immediately warn everyone that the city is about to collapse. Outside, Ayla and Mika reconcile and share a kiss. In Frigga's location, cracks start appearing on the road, causing chaos among the people who witness these occurrences. As Mika tries to leave with the car, a crack forms beneath it. When she attempts to drive, the car gets stuck. They try to free the car, but it's not enough. Seeing this, De Beer rushes to help them, assisting both the grandmother and Ayla. Due to panic, Mika's seatbelt gets stuck while the ground slowly sinks. De Beer witnesses the collapse of the mountain and the structures on top of it. He quickly enters the car and carefully removes Mika's seatbelt. Due to the mountain's collapse, a landslide is triggered, destroying everything in its path. Everyone flees as it sweeps through. While running, they encounter a mother with her children. They assist her, and Ayla pushes the baby stroller. Unfortunately, Ayla gets caught in the debris, but she manages to save the baby. Meanwhile, the family reunites, but Simon is still missing. At the hospital, a girl lying on a bed informs Frigga and her mother that Simon is in Kiruna. Mika, shocked by Ayla's state, is comforted by Tage. Amid the chaos, De Beer kneels at an altar to pray. Tage approaches him, expresses gratitude for De Beer saving Mika, and notices the engagement ring. He asks to see it. At the same time, the girl lying on the bed informs Frigga that she heard Simon playing with his friends at their school. Tage puts the ring in his pocket. Seeing this, De Beer tries to retrieve it, but Tage refuses, leading to a struggle. Frigga arrives and shares the news that she knows where Simon is. The two stop and quickly follow Frigga and Mika. At the school, Simon's classmate, Hampus, is in front of the school building, distressed by the events. They attempt to talk to him, but he is unresponsive. They hurry inside the school and discover one of Simon's classmates dead. Hearing cries for help, they rush to assist, but rocks block their way. As Frigga is being tied with a rope, rocks suddenly fall near her and Tage. Seeing a small opening, Frigga doesn't hesitate to enter it. After she enters, rocks collapse entirely, blocking the small opening. Frigga continues walking to find Simon. As she progresses, she comes across numerous lifeless bodies. While checking one of the corpses, she hears someone asking for help. She discovers Tina, Simon's classmate, impaled by metal in the abdomen. After an extensive search, Frigga finally finds Simon by the edge of a deep crevice. The surrounding rocks start collapsing with the slightest movement. Concerned for Simon's life, Tina pleads for Frigga's assistance. The others eventually join them inside. Upon entering, Tage returns the ring to De Beer. As they move deeper, they reunite with Frigga. They attempt to help Tina, but her injury is fatal, leading to her demise. Without delay, they secure a hose around Frigga's body and lower her to Simon. Slowly, they descend, Frigga swinging to reach Simon. However, the rock she's tied to breaks, causing Frigga's thigh to impale on a protruding metal. In intense pain, Frigga nearly faints. The trio above tirelessly works to free Frigga. Simon notices another man above, so he asks Frigga who he is. Frigga introduces him as Dabir. Before Simon can speak again, Frigga assures him that if Simon doesn't like Dabir, she will break up with him immediately. She emphasizes Simon's importance to her. While talking, a piece of furniture suddenly falls, narrowly missing Frigga. Seeing the rock where Frigga is impaled starting to crumble, Simon quickly approaches his mother and holds the rock. Micah also finds a possible descent route, so she hurries to Simon despite the danger. Mika uses a belt to secure Frigga's thigh, and together they push Frigga away from the impalement. They manage to free Frigga, but she faints from the intense pain. After a while, she regains consciousness. They first lift Simon by pulling him up. As Tage and Simon hug, the platform they are standing on begins to crack. Micah moves to the furniture hanging in the middle of the hole and helps Frigga jump onto it. They then lift Micah upward, but the wire holding the furniture starts to snap. Tage notices this, quickly grabs it, and holds on tight. Despite realizing he is being electrocuted, he chooses to continue holding it to prevent Frigga from falling. He bids them farewell, expressing his love for all of them as he gets electrocuted and falls. After Dabir safely lifts Frigga, he rushes to Tage to provide first aid. Tage, in a whisper, entrusts Dabir with his children, asking him to take care of and love them before he passes away. Moments later, the rescuers arrive, and in shock, everyone stands there unable to comprehend what just happened. Dabir takes the ring from his pocket and looks at Frigga, bringing a smile to her face. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more videos.